Well, a good Friday to you. Thank you for tuning in to the Gardener's Corner program, our Friday feature here on WKRX 96.7 FM and TV Channel 10, located on Charter Communications Channel 191. My name is Rob Hall. It's April 1st, and we hope that you're doing well. And we're glad that you took some time out of your day to tune in for the Gardener's Corner program, brought to you today by T.G. Brooks Company, in business since 1936, Sandling Golf Cars, and Goings Auctioneering. They've got an auction tomorrow in Wendell, North Carolina. We'll tell you all about that and more here on the Gardener's Corner program. Without further ado, please make welcome, all the way from the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. He had to get up early and head out early just to get here on time. If you would at this time, please give it up and make welcome Mr. Carl. I'll be glad when asparagus season is over. Cantaloupe.
Good morning, Rob.
And a good morning to you, my friend.
Yeah, the old back is it's holding up. But
Well, I know this is what week 3 or 4 maybe.
Yeah, since the-
harvesting asparagus.
was it March 13th? I think I started. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, I know we had talked about on the show recently about the cool temperatures, may slow it down, but from what you found, it did not slow it down at all.
No, and the quality's been excellent. Quality's been excellent. No insect pressures, especially the asparagus beetle. Haven't seen, knock on wood, but haven't seen the first one yet. So.
Well, good. I'm glad that everything is going
But it's
good
going
and
well.
strong. And speaking of cool weather, I'm thinking maybe Sunday night, Monday night, our temperatures could get down in the 30s. And Carl has pretty much always taught us that up until April the 15th and on until May 1st, we have about a 50% chance of frost.
Right.
So don't let some of these warm weather days fool you, because it still can get, pretty cold at nighttime.
Yeah,
It
it can
cause
still nip
damage.
the warm season vegetables, definitely. So it's still too early to set out tomato and pepper transplants. But we are live in the studio today.
That's right. And we had actually taken last week off for Good Friday, and we hope that everybody had a happy and safe Easter weekend. And we're back live today. So if you've got a question for Carl, 336-599-0266. That's 336-599-0266.
Before we get into the topic today, which will be growing fruit trees, one thing that is happening right now outdoors is we're seeing the cedar apple rust fungus. This has started on the cedar trees or the juniper trees, and you can see on the slide on the right shows the gall that is produced on the cedar tree, and then this gall opens up to exude these orange jelly-like tentacles. I've got some more pictures of them here. You can see these kind of orange globs that occur on the cedar trees. Here's one that's close up. This is actually the stage of what they look like right now, because I had a man call in the office a few days ago and say, what are these orange jelly globs on the cedar trees? And this is the gall of the cedar apple rust fungus. The spores, or the reproductive structures of the fungus, are produced in these jelly-like tentacles. And here's another one close up. And the spores blow onto apple trees, and they form the yellow and orange spots on the leaves. Here's some more close-ups of it, and you can see this tree is pretty infested with the cedar apple rust fungus. And if it's severe, it can cause the apple tree leaves to fall from the tree. So the thing to do is right now you need to prevent the apple trees from getting cedar apple rust by spraying the fungicide called Immunox, Immunox. The Immunox has to be added to the other fruit tree spray that you're using to control insects and diseases. So when you go out and you buy a fruit tree spray, usually it contains 2 insecticides and 1 fungicide. Usually contains methoxychlor to control chewing insects, malathion to control sucking insects, and then it also has the fungicide Captan, Captan. This aids in control of brown rot of the stone fruits, but it doesn't. None of these ingredients do anything to control cedar apple rust on apple. So you have to add the Immunox to your fruit tree spray mixture, and go ahead and keep spraying for about a 6-week period. Then after six weeks from today, the galls on the cedar tree will dry up, and no more infection can take place. But cedar apple rust can be quite destructive. Not only will it affect the leaves, but it also can extend into the fruit and really damage the fruit. So that's to do is to get started on that, as soon as you can.
Well, Carl, with the cedar apple rust being on the cedar trees and the juniper trees, it's not really anything that you do about it being on those trees. You just want to protect your apple trees, correct?
Right, and the cedar apple rust fungus will not harm the cedar tree.
Okay.
And cedar apple rust fungus is a fungus that has to have 2 alternate hosts in order to survive and complete the life cycle, because the gall is formed on the cedar tree. During the first year, it just kind of expands a little bit in size. The second year is when that gall opens up and produces the orange jelly-like tentacles. Then, during that second year, the spores blow to the apple trees and infect those leaves. Then, once the orange and yellow spots are made on the apple tree leaves, if you take a magnifying glass and turn the apple leaf over, you'll see real tiny tentacles that kind of resemble the tentacles on the cedar tree, but only very, very small. And it's through these structures on the bottom side of the apple tree leaf are the spores produced that will blow back to the cedar tree and start the 2-year life cycle over again.
Oh, so they kind of go back and forth.
The fungus has to have both hosts, both the cedar and the apple, to complete its life cycle.
So if you can kind of control it on the apple tree, you might be able to kind of eventually put an end to it, so to speak?
No, not really. But that's a good question. A lot of people think, well, if I cut all my cedars down, will that stop it? Well, yeah, in the immediate area, but spores can blow for miles around.
Right.
So cutting down the cedar trees are really not a good choice, just to save the apple tree from getting it. Spraying with Immunox will is the much better route to choose.
And this is cedar rust fungus.
Cedar. It's called cedar-apple rust.
Cedar-apple rust fungus. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And Immunox is what you need to spray.
Right.
Now, Carl, you said that you would need to do the spray regimen for about 6 weeks.
Right.
Now, is that once a week, twice
No.
a week? Or?
You can once every 10 to 14 days throughout that 6-week period.
Okay.
And then the galls on the cedar trees will dry up. Once that happens, no more infection can take place.
Well, now, suppose you spray today, and then you get rainfall the next day or so. Does that affect you?
It does. If we get a real hard driving rain, yeah, you probably should get out and spray again. There's also an ingredient that you can add to your fruit tree spray mixture called a spreader sticker. Mm-hmm. A spreader sticker aids in making the water molecules flatten out on the leaves, and what it does, it decreases the surface tension, or the amount of tension the water is held on top of those leaves. In other words, instead of the water droplets beating up on the leaf, it flattens it out, and so you have better plant coverage, and also has an ingredient in there that helps the spray mixture adhere to the leaf surfaces for longer periods of time. So in the event of rains, this will help hold the ingredients on the leaf for a longer period of time. So ask for a spreader-sticker and add that to your fruit tree spray.
Sounds like some very useful information. Before we get into the topic at hand, let's go ahead and get a word on for Sandling Golf Cars. They're located in Oxford. They are geared up and ready for the spring and summertime. They've got a huge selection of golf cars, utility trailers, equipment trailers, the list goes on. But we'll be back after a word from Sandling Golf Cars, and we will be talking about planting fruit trees here on the Gardener's Corner program. Sandling Golf Cars, located 613 Lewis Street in Oxford, is a place you can find club car and easy-go golf cars. Sandling Golf Cars has new and pre-owned golf cars. If you want a gasoline, electric, basic to fully customized golf car, see Al, Hillary, or Will at Sandling Golf Cars, where financing is available. Call 919-693-4626 or toll free 1-800-221-9267. Visit the website www.sandlinggolfcars.com. Check out the XRT Spy Club car, powered by a gasoline or diesel engine. These rugged, durable, and dependable machines, strong enough to handle anything around the farm, home, or lake. For all of your golf car repair needs and Trojan batteries, see Bradley and Dennis at Sandling Golf Cars. They also carry Wilmington grills. Sandling Golf Cars is open for business weekdays 8 a.m. until 5:30, Saturdays 9 until 1. Call 919-693-4626 or toll free 1-800-221-9267 or stop by Sandling Golf Cars, located 613 Lewis Street in Oxford. Here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. We appreciate the support of Sandling Golf Cars. We also appreciate T.G. Brooks Company and Goings Auctioneering for being a sponsor here on the Gardener's Corner program. We get a word on for them coming up in just a few minutes. We are live in the studio, 336-599-0266. We want to talk about growing fruit trees. So, Mr. Cantalupi, I'll follow your lead.
All right, let's see. Maybe we'll see if I wonder if this one is for us.
No, it's
okay,
not for us.
it's not. All right. So away we go. Growing fruit trees is a lot of work, and I always say if you try to grow fruit trees and you get frustrated by the sprays that it takes to control insects and diseases, so you don't get wormy fruit or diseased fruit, and then you happen to go into the grocery store and you see all these picture-perfect fruits in the produce section, you know that they didn't get there by accident. So, and another thing I was thinking about yesterday, when you talk to people and they try to absorb this information as to the insecticides and fungicides that you need to spray, a lot of people say, well, back in my day, we never had problems with insects or diseases. We never had to spray. Well, that's probably true. But then if you got insect and disease-ridden fruit, all you did was you cut the bad spots out.
Right.
And so, sure, you can do that, but these insects and diseases didn't pop up overnight. They've been there for years and years. Our ability to tolerate The damage that they do, years ago people did, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you expect to get picture perfect fruit that you get out of the grocery store, you might as well, give up now, because that's not going to happen.
And I want you to stress that point one more time.
What's that?
About growing fruit trees is hard work.
It is. You can't relax your vigil because certain insects and diseases attack at certain periods of time during the year. So you have to know the insect life cycles. You have to know the disease life cycles. As the saying goes, timing is everything, and it's no more true. It's just as true, I should say, with growing fruit trees. So we have to prune fruit trees to get good production. We have to spray to control insects and diseases, and then we also need to manage the vegetation under the tree. Don't plant fruit trees in areas that are shaded by houses, buildings, or trees. If you plant them next to fences and hedges, this keeps the cold air trapped around the young trees. So the best place to grow them is in full sun, away from any type barriers, in an open area that receives plenty of sunlight. Don't plant fruit trees in low elevations on your property, because that's where frost congregates in the low areas. So always locate fruit trees on high ground. Here are some advantages and disadvantages of growing vegetation under the tree, or otherwise we'll call it permanent sod or permanent grass under the tree. Grass under the tree provides good organic matter. It protects the roots. If you're growing a legume like clover, this will supply nitrogen to the root system. Any type of vegetation will minimize soil temperature fluctuations, but will also harbor insects. And then you will get competition of nutrients between the tree and the grass. Growing sod under the tree will promote shallow rooting. On the other hand, there'll be no soil erosion and no leaching of nutrients in a sod system. If you grow fruit trees in what we call clean culture, or tilling of the soil down the row and between rows of fruit trees, clean culture promotes deep rooting of trees. And also you don't have the problem of the vegetation harboring insects. Organic matter can be easily incorporated to bare soil. There's also no competition of nutrients to the tree, as if you were growing grass. But soil erosion is more of a problem if you don't have anything to hold the soil back. So, unless you're located on flat ground, this is probably something that you don't want to do. However, what you can do is keep the area free of weeds in the row, and then leave grass rows in the middle, and this will help down on soil erosion. The leaching of nutrients is faster in clean culture, but they're more available to the tree. So when you add fertilizer to the tree in bare soil, it's going to go to the tree a lot faster. As far as how fruit trees bear and flower, apples and pears bear terminally at the ends on little structures called spurs. They can bear fruit terminally on twigs, the annual growth, or laterally on twigs. If you look at an apple and a pear bud, we call them having mixed buds. So within each bud, we have the young flowers and leaves contained in the same bud. So apple and pear buds are mixed buds having both flower and leaf buds within the same bud. Apple and pear buds have between 5 to 8 flowers and 10 leaves in the same bud. Now, on the other hand, all the stone fruits, peach, nectarine, plum, cherry, and apricot, they produce their buds laterally on twigs or spurs, never terminally on the end. Stone fruits have pure buds, otherwise known as simple buds, either containing flowers or leaves, not both. So when we say stone fruits have simple buds, that means we have separate leaf buds and flower buds. They're not mixed buds as they are in the apple or the pear. A peach or nectarine flower bud is a simple bud containing one flower per bud. A cherry flower bud is a simple bud containing one to three flowers per bud. A plum flower, again, is a simple bud containing 3 to 5 flowers per bud. Now, the bud arrangement on stone fruits, what we have is a collateral arrangement of buds, and I have the letters here. F is for flower and L is for leaf. And you can see the arrangements of the letters here, F and L. That means you can have a flower bud next to a leaf bud, or it can be the reverse, a leaf bud and a flower bud. Or you can have a flower bud with a leaf bud in between another flower bud. Or sometimes you can have leaf, flower, and leaf. So you just have to kind of look at the annual growth, and I have a slide that I can show of that in a minute here. Thinning is needed to be done with all fruit trees. With peaches, you need about 4 inches between fruits on the tree. 6 inches is ideal. So you want to thin the excess fruit, otherwise the tree cannot support all the weight of that fruit. Branches can break down and fruit size suffers. Why do we thin? To enhance the size of the fruit, to enhance the color, to avoid limb breakage, to avoid fruit rubbing against each other. This, if you do practice thinning, this enhances fruit bud formation next year. The one thing that we want to do is thin the fruit after the May or the June drop. Down here, it's actually in May. This is the period of time where Mother Nature will thin excess fruit from the tree herself, and you want to wait until that happens to go ahead and thin.
Because if you thin, then Mother Nature may come behind you.
Exactly.
And thin more.
Right. And this is kind of what you want to look at when you have fruit thinning. Here we have apples, and you have 3 fruits that are in a cluster. So you want to thin those so you only have 1 fruit per cluster. So the above slide shows the cluster, and the below picture shows what it should look like after thinning.
And Carl, I guess maybe some people are afraid to thin because
sure.
they are thinking that they may hurt their, yield and production, but that's not really the case.
No.
When you thin, you're actually helping out.
Yeah, there's only on an apple tree, all you really need is 10% of the flowers to set fruit. 10%. In order to have a commercial crop. That's all.
Wow.
That's all you need.
Well, now, Carl, while you're talking about, fruit trees, and you talked about spraying earlier, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was thinking you had said in the last couple of weeks that when spraying fruit trees with some of the
Insecticides and fungicides.
It has 7 in it.
Exactly.
And 7 can serve as a thinning agent.
It certainly can.
For the apple trees when the flowers are on the tree, correct?
Right. For apples and crab apples, if you apply 7 as an insecticide to control chewing insects, within a 30-day period after full bloom. In other words, you have to wait 30 days after the flower petals fall to use 7. Otherwise, it will actually burn the young fruits on the tree, the young flowers and fruits on the tree, and you can very effectively eliminate your apple crop by using 7 in your fruit tree spray mixture. Now, some people that have crabapple trees, this is exactly what they want to do because they don't want the fruits falling down and staining the sidewalk or the driveway. So they'll spray with 7 during full bloom, and they won't have any apples, crabapple on the tree. This does not work for other fruit trees, only apples. Only apples and crabapples.
So what you're getting at is if you do spray with 7, you may be doing the ultimate thinning to the tree.
That's right. So you don't want to do that.
Okay.
Other slide here that shows how to plant a fruit tree properly. Oops, I don't have on the TV here. Dig a hole just large enough to accommodate the root system. If there's any broken roots, make sure that you remove them. And in this slide, in the second picture, going from left to right, you see what we call the bud crook area. This is where the known variety of tree was grafted onto a rootstock. And so the known variety starts to grow out of the rootstock, and then a pruning shear is taken and the rootstock is cut off. So that's why you see that bend there, or that bulge. So you always want to keep that a few inches above the soil surface, the bud crook, because if you bury that, then you'll get sucker growths coming up off of the root system, which is not of the variety of the tree that was grafted. So be sure you do that, and go ahead and tamp the soil well, making sure that that's done. When we plant an apple and pear trees, we want to prune the tree back to just 3 feet tall. A lot of times, if you buy these from a nursery, you'll have branches that are already occurring high up on the tree. You don't want that. It's just like building a house. You want to start with a good foundation. So you cut the apple or the pear tree back to 3 feet, so all you have is one stick, otherwise known as a whip, W-H-I-P. And you start to develop the scaffold branches, or the side branches, at about 2 feet from the bottom of the tree. And you want to leave branches that occur in kind of what I call a spiral staircase shape. Now with other trees like peaches and nectarines, instead of cutting that back to 36 inches, we cut those back to 30 inches, and then we start forming the scaffold branches right at that height, or close to it. In the case of peach or nectarine trees, we are not developing a central leader type tree like we do with the apple and peach, but we're cutting the center out at 30 inches, and we're only allowing 3 to 5 main branches to originate at that same point, kind of like the spokes of a wheel. And so those are the difference in pruning system, and this is difficult to see with slides. This is why we have the pruning demonstrations done, so people can see exactly what we need to do. To encourage wide angles to the trunk, we use spreaders. This can be nails or clothespins tied on the ends of the small branches. For larger branches, we can use 1-inch square boards. We can drive a nail into each end, and so we have 2 sharp points, and we can insert these into between the trunk of the tree and the branches to form a wide angle with the trunk. Here's a peach tree before pruning, and this might be one that you get from a nursery. You see that it has a lot of branches on it, and it's has a lot in the top of the tree. So what we're going to do is, this is kind of looking down on the tree. We're going to cut the center out at about 30 inches, and just to show how tall it is with the shears being placed up next to the trunk, about 30 inches. Here's another shot looking down on that trunk where the center was made, and you can see about 5 branches radiating out like the spokes of a wheel here. And these are the only branches we're interested in keeping for the entire life of the tree. We don't want any more. We've cut the center out, and we're going to just retain these 3 to 5 branches. If there's any vigorous upright shoots, this is on an old tree, we prune those out. So this is kind of the tree framework that we're desiring in a peach or nectarine tree, where the center is open. So this allows for good sunlight penetration in the tree. Let me know, I guess, when we need to...
Yeah, we get a word on in just a minute.
All right.
I did have this question, Carl. When you are planting your fruit trees, go ahead and prune them back then?
Right
just
then.
As soon as you plant them? Well, now, is it too late if someone has planted some fruit trees in the last month or so, It's not too
No,
late
oh
to
no,
go
they
ahead and
can
bring
do.
them back.
No, no. The earlier you do it, and a lot of people think, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm cutting this tree back to nothing, you know. And you do that when you start, but it's amazing to see how that tree will respond after that's done, and even after years of neglect. Hopefully it doesn't take many years before you have to do corrective pruning on trees, but even then, you can do corrective pruning and you can really restore the life of that tree. But it's best to do it early, if at all possible.
That's some interesting information. And for those of you that are watching on TV Channel 10, located on Charter Communications Channel 191, with the slides and pictures that Carl puts up on the screen, I know it helps you understand a lot easier what he is talking about. But for those of you that are listening on the radio, I know it's kind of hard to paint that picture in your mind. But one thing that we can offer, you can log on to RadioRoxboro.com and you can watch past editions of the Gardener's Corner program on your computer. And while you are there watching, you can see some of the photographs and slides that Carl puts up on the screen. So if it's a topic, that you're kind of interested in, before clicking on the watch button for the past editions of the Gardener's Corner, Kilby typically names each show, and I'm sure today's show will be growing fruit trees. But you can watch past editions and get a lot of information. And again, that website address is RadioRoxboro.com. All right, we're going to get a word on right now for T.G. Brooks Company. They've been in business since 1936. We'll take a trip to T.G. Brooks Company, and we'll be back in just a little bit with more Gardener's Corner program.
April and spring is bursting open. T.G. Brooks Company is ready and they have them in. They have your tomato plants, cabbage, broccoli, lettuce, Brussels sprouts, herbs like basil, chives, thyme, oregano, dill, cilantro, peppermint. They have lavender. They're geared up for the planting season. April is the month to really get things done for spring and summer. Fresh garden seed are in and ready to plant. Reseed your lawn with clean, fresh seed, and they have the fertilizer, lime, herbicides for weed control, and if you need mulch, wow, do they ever have mulch. Even that triple ground mulch. Do you need straw? Pine needles? How about potting soil, planting soil, or cow manure? They have spreaders and they have aerators for sale or rent. No matter if you are a homeowner or you are a commercial landscaper, T.G. Brooks handles everybody with the same courteous service. They can arrange delivery, or you can pull in with your pickup truck or trailer. They'll load up your mulch for you. They're bagged products like pine mulch. They'll load it into your car or trailer. And don't forget Bartlett Animal Feeds. Bartlett Animal Feeds at T.G. Brooks Company. It's exciting to see spring and the growing season. When the day is done, nothing tops off that day like a hand-cut ribeye cooked on your grill. Make tracks to 411 Helena Maria Road in Timberlake. Phone them at 364-2428. As always, T.G. Brooks Company has proudly served the homeowner, the farmer, and those in construction since way back in 1936. They welcome folks from all over Person County, Rougemont, Northern Durham, and of course, Southern Person County.
Here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. We appreciate you tuning in to WKRX 96.7 FM and TV Channel 10 on Charter Communications Channel 191. I'll make mention again, you can log on to RadioRoxboro.com to watch past editions of the Gardener's Corner program. Also, one thing I would also mention, if you're maybe listening to the program today and you've got a family member or maybe a friend that lives out of town that enjoys, gardening and things like that, if they would like to start tuning into the program, you can get your free smartphone app at tunein.com as we are streaming on the internet, and that way they could listen to the program. But again, log on to radioroxborough.com to watch past editions of the Gardener's Corner program. Mr. Carl Cantalupi, our resident expert of the Cooperative Extension Service, is talking about growing fruit trees.
Right, and before I get into it, I just happened to think of something I need to pass along, and that is our master gardeners are really doing a good job. We have several of them interested in cleaning up the area next to the Roxborough Farmers Market on Madison Boulevard. They've been.
You mean the Person County?
I'm sorry.
Farmers
Yeah. Thanks for correcting me. That's how we started out as the Person County Farmers Market, located at 601 North Madison Boulevard. The people have really been working hard. They've been weeding, cultivating. They're going to be mulching soon, and making some more plantings. And I think just in short order, it is really going to look nice, much better than it has in years. So my hat is off to all the Master Gardener volunteers who have spent a lot of time beautifying the area, and I think the results are really going to pay off.
And from what I'm hearing, they are planning to have a lot of different cooking demonstrations and other things down there this upcoming season, which have always had, a lot of different things. But I understand they have even more events scheduled for this year. And for those of you that are traveling up and down Madison Boulevard, the Person County Farmers Market is located directly across from the Cookout Restaurant. And pretty much the sign is on top of the metal structure, so as you're driving down the boulevard, the sign is pretty much road level.
That's right.
That's on top of the building. But it's a really nice metal structure shelter there, and then with the garden beside of it, it will certainly add to it. And so hopefully people will get out and support and shop local.
Yeah.
We have that market here in Roxborough, and we also have the Roxborough Farmers Market on Depot Street. So 2 outlets here in Roxborough to where you can, pretty much shop local.
And I need to talk to the manager and find out from the individual, what events will be going on and those kinds of things.
Are you going to be there playing the clarinet any this year?
Yeah, they've already got me booked, I think, for one day in May. Yeah.
One day in May.
I forget what it is yet.
Do you think maybe you've got enough time between now and then to write and compose a song entitled One Day in May, and you could play it on clarinet?
That'd be asking too much, I think.
You think it's even a song by the name of that, One Day in May?
It could very well be, yeah.
Yeah.
We shall see.
See what you can work on for us on that call.
All right. Okay, back to apple tree pruning and training. Sunlight turns buds into fruit buds. Training and pruning should maximize sunlight in the tree. So the more sun you have, the better it is. Shade is your enemy. All parts of the tree should receive adequate sunlight. As one professor always used to say, that after a tree is pruned, and even if after the tree is pruned and the tree is leafed out, if a bird should be able to fly through the tree without hitting any branches. That's what he always used to say.
Really? Wow.
And that should happen. Pruning stimulates new shoots, which will produce fruit buds the following year and bear fruit the next year. So when we prune, Actually, I'm going to pass by this because this is a lot of. It's hard to visualize without actually being there and doing it yourself. So I'm going to move over to different bud stages in fruit trees and show you the different stages from dormant until after bloom. So here's a picture of an apple bud that's dormant. This one is the green tip stage. You see a little green in the bud, and remember, with apples, apples have mixed buds, so you have both flowers and leaves in the same bud. Here's the half-inch green stage. Here's the tight cluster stage. You can already see a little bit of pink, the flower petals shooting through. This is the pink stage. Here is the bloom stage. After petals fall. Let me back up a bit here, so you can see how many flowers are in this apple bud. 5 flowers, and once the fruit's set on, we want to just leave the one that in the center, which is generally called the king blossom, and the king blossom is usually the largest, and then we want to remove the other ones after they get tiny immature fruits. Here's the peach. Now here's a configuration. We have two flower buds on the side and a leaf bud in the middle. So we have a flower, leaf, flower arrangement. And here it is again. You can see this better. You can definitely tell the size difference in peach buds. The flower buds are always plump, and the leaf buds are always small. So here we have a flower bud, a leaf bud in the middle, and a flower. This is the green calyx stage, the red calyx stage, pink stage, first bloom, full bloom, post bloom. And you can see the flower parts fading away and the leaves coming out and taking over. In peaches and in all the stone fruits, actually, we have a stage called the shuck split. The shuck is a tiny covering that actually covers the tiny immature fruit until that fruit expands and that shuck falls off. Here's the shuck fall stage. You can see the fruit and then the remnants of the shuck just being falling off, and here's a combination of shuck split and shuck fall. With plums, we have the tight cluster stage, white bud, bloom. In sweet cherry, this is the swollen bud stage. Here it is again. Here it is tight cluster, white. In sweet cherry, first bloom, full bloom. With tart cherries, this is the swollen bud stage, the green tip stage, the open cluster, first white, first bloom, full bloom, and this is the shuck split stage. So that's kind of a small run through on what the flower stages look like in fruit trees. You really need to know your pollination requirements. Apples, pears, plums, and sweet cherries require at least 2 different varieties for cross-pollination. With pecans, you should plant either the Cape Fear or the Pawnee variety to pollinate the Stewart. That's very important. Peaches, nectarines, sour cherries, and figs are self-fruitful. That means all you need to have is 1 tree of 1 variety, and you'll do just fine. With apples, you can purchase apples that have dwarfing rootstocks. These are rootstocks that have been developed to control the size of the tree. And you see the letter and number designations on the bottom of the chart here. And the chart up from the lower left to the top left shows you the size of the trees in relationship to a standard size tree, which is 100%. So you see that we have M9, Mark, M26, M7A, MM106, and MM111. the first three are truly dwarf apple trees. This means that the trees have dwarfing rootstock. It's a truly dwarf tree, and they have to be supported on a trellis. The M7A, the MM106, and the MM111 are freestanding trees. They do not need to be supported. So the ones to plant in our area would be either the M7A, MM106, or MM111. Now, how do you know that you're getting, how do you find these letter designations? Well, you only get these if you order fruit trees from nurseries that specialize in growing fruit trees. Many times, if you buy them other places, you have no idea if you're getting a dwarfing apple rootstock or not. So you need to know this ahead of time.
And when ordering from a fruit tree nursery, call them and ask some questions, and they should be able to
That's right.
answer the questions for you. We need to squeeze in
Okay.
a word right quick for Goings Auctioneering. They've got a big auction taking place tomorrow down in Wendell, North Carolina. Mr. Greg Goings has some really good auctions, and he has a wide variety of different things at his auctions. Here's more information from the Goings Auctions Inc.com that's taking place tomorrow. Mr. Greg Goings of Goings Auctioneering, NCAL 390, announces an auction sale Saturday, April 2nd in Wendell, North Carolina. That sale address is 810 Maggie Way in Wendell. For more information, log on to GoingsAuctionsInc.com or call Greg Goings at 252-578-1623. They'll have farm equipment, including antique tractors. They'll also have other antiques and collectibles. For more information, call Mr. Greg Goings at 252-578-1623 or log on to GoingsAuctionsInc.com to view photographs and terms. That's Saturday, April 2nd at 10 a.m. That sale address again is 810 Maggie Way, Wendell, North Carolina. For more information, again, call Greg Goings at 252-578-1623 or log on to GoingsAuctionsInc.com. Again, that sale date is Saturday, April 2nd in Wendell, North Carolina. Call Greg Goings at 252-578-1623. All righty, Carl, we've got just a couple of minutes left on the program today. And, you know, it's really interesting, everything that kind of comes into play when you talk about growing fruit trees. And again, if you're thinking about buying some fruit trees and just planting them and not going back to them until there's fruit on the trees, well, don't kid yourself.
That's right.
You might be lucky and end up with some fruit on it, but it is something that requires a lot of manual labor, and it's very time consuming to look after fruit trees the way that they really should be taken care of.
That's right. Absolutely. Let's see. Time how much time do you think we have
less
left?
than 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, we'll just kind of sum up here for now. We can continue on this next week, but on the topic of dwarfing rootstocks with apples, these are the ones that really that you can really benefit by ordering apple trees that have a dwarfing rootstock, because it controls the size of the top. With other fruit trees, you can just buy standard size trees. You don't need to buy a dwarf tree. They're really not available. And with good annual pruning, you can control the size of a standard size fruit tree. Apples are the only ones that it pays to get a what we call a semi-dwarf tree.
Again, log on to RadioRoxburgh.com to watch past editions of the Gardener's Corner program. And if you're listening right now and say, well, I'm going to log on and check out the episode from today, It'll probably be about 3 or 4 o'clock before today's program is loaded to the website. So just kind of be patient and bear that in mind. Thanks goes out to T.G. Brooks Company, Sandling Golf Cars, and Goings Auctioneering. A big special thanks to Mr. Carl Cantalupi.
Thanks, Rob.
Our resident expert from the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. And we also appreciate Kilby for what he does to get us on the air and gets our commercials on the air. We appreciate his hard work and what he does. So with all that being said, my name is Rob Hall. We want to wish you and yours a happy and safe weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next week for another edition of the Gardener's Corner program.